started out as a fairly practical solution. I knew we'd be cooped up for a couple of weeks, we thought at the time. I really didn't want to lose any of the movements that I'd been working so hard on. I didn't want to drive my neighbors crazy by dancing in my apartment. So I started to go out and look for wooden surfaces that were at a safe distance from others. I've been taking tap dance for about 7 years on the outskirts of Olneyville at Modern Jazz Dance Company. My instructor is Elaine Culinary, living legend. Cut off from my weekly fix at the studio, I went off into nature. What I discovered as a result is that the act of finding a location and then being in a natural landscape almost instantly provided me with this therapeutic outlet for coping with the state of the world right now. The avalanche of global health anxieties, the crushing wave of cancellations, general life upheaval that we're all facing together alone. After dancing outside, I just felt better. I loved this little landing. It was like hitting a moving target, and it really forced me to slow down and feel what I was doing, because I couldn't take it for granted that the ground would be under my feet. And every time I hit it, it suddenly became this conversation with the water as well as the wood. In case you're wondering, I didn't fall. I went back later to find my dock, and it wasn't there. I was a little upset at first, and then I walked the perimeter of the pond, and I found that at some point it had undocked itself, and it had followed the current of the pond into this little pocket of deeper waters, and it was covered in pond grasses, and I couldn't reach it anymore. Isn't it funny how when you start looking for things, they just start presenting themselves to you? I mean, there's no earthly reason for this busted palette to be in the middle of sand dunes. But there it is. But then again, there's no earthly reason for sand dunes to be in the middle of Rhode Island either. So... Gosh, I really miss my tap buddies right now. They're really extraordinary humans. You wouldn't expect the variety of people who are drawn to this, learning this art form. I take class with a forensic scientist and a doctor who work at the state morgue. I take class with a surgeon and my friend who works at Narragansett Bay Commission as a physical chemist. We have a financial advisor who comes in. There's an incredible variety of professional expertise in our TAP class. So this series of movements, I kept going back to these. These are exercises that were choreographed by Henry Latang and are taught by Elaine at Modern Jazz. And I kept going back to them for a few reasons. One, because this is something that we always go back to in class. And I imagine that these are movements that you can always find ways to improve upon. The other reason why I kept going back to them was because I realized really soon with these surfaces, they were both pretty unlevel, and I found out pretty quickly that they weren't going to be very forgiving if I busted out a time step or hit them with anything hard or bouncy. And these exercises are way down into the floor. About 2 months ago, you would have been hard-pressed to get me in front of a camera of my own free will. Maybe it's a little bit comforting to see that I'm still there.